Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Animal Communication Adventures. My name's Nicole. I'm an animal communicator from Australia.
And my name is Courtney. I'm an animal communicator from the United States. We are very, very happy that you're joining us for our very special episode on energy healing. This is something that is very near and dear to Nicole and I's hearts. We have had some amazing experiences. We love hearing other people's experiences about it. We just love it. Um, Energy healing has really gained a lot of popularity in the past, what would you say, 10 or 15 years, Nicole? It's just really started to get popular and people know about it. Um, a lot of people that I've talked to will say, "Oh, is this like some of that new age woo woo kind of stuff?" And if I can't speak for all kinds of energy healing because there's a lot out there, but like the most common ones, if you like looked up online, the most common ones out there are absolutely not new age woo woo. They're actually very old, ancient healing practices that people from thousands of years ago have done to help themselves or the people in their clan, their village, whatever you say. So these are very, very old practices that maybe for a lot of people have kind of been lost for a while, and then in the past few decades have been rediscovered, or at least to the point where now they're becoming very, very popular. Would you agree with that, Nicole?
Absolutely. It's not, you say Reiki these days, and people are like, oh, yeah, I know Reiki. Or angel healing, like, yep, cool. Whereas if you was to say that again 10, 15 years ago, they'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Energy, what? Yes,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah.
Definitely.
And so,
Um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's all good. You go.
So like I said, there's a ton of different energy healings out there. Just to give you an example, these are the more common ones that you might have heard or might have, seen. Of course, we're going to talk about angel healing and Reiki, so that's what this show is going to be about. But I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right. Qigong. It's an ancient Chinese healing. And then there's also acupuncture, acupressure. Both of those are very, very common. I think probably a lot of our listeners, have heard of those. And then there's also meridian healing, shamanic healing, sound, quantum, chakra. Those are all healings. So those are like some of the more common ones. But again, there's more out there. If somebody was interested in learning like deeper into energy healing, oh Lord, you will be going down a rabbit hole as you like start, researching them, and they're all different. They can do different things. Some of them are very similar to one another, but like I said, they're all done differently for different reasons. You just gotta research what is good for yourself, for your loved ones, for your animals, because all of these healings can be done on anything. People get them done on like people themselves. They get them done on animals. So this show is for anybody and anything. Um, some of the common things that energy healing can help with, like why you'd want to get it. They can reduce stress. They can reduce pain and discomfort. They can accelerate your healing, clear out negative emotions, clears toxins from the body, gives you better sleep. It helps balance out your heart rate and blood pressure. It increases your energy, increases your self-confidence, increases your intuition. It makes you feel more grounded. It gives you more inner peace, and it gives you a deeper connection with God. So those are just some of the more common reasons of why you might want to consider energy healing. So as I said, we're going to be speaking about angel healing and Reiki. So Nicole, would you like to lead off with angel healing?
Sure. So I do angel healing. Both Courtney and I do Reiki. I was just thinking about this morning. I like angel healing because I like to feel like I'm doing a lot of steps. I know that sounds weird, but see, if I go to exercise, as much as yoga has a lot of benefits, and yoga and Pilates, I can't, it's just not for me. I like to know that I've run or kicked, or like I feel like I've done something. Um,
Mhm.
and although, God, that sounds bad, doesn't it? I'm not against Reiki. It's just with angel healing, I think there's about 11 steps that we go through. And I called in the archangels from north, south, east, and west: Uriel, Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel. We go through a process of where we release and clear stagnant energy from people's energy fields, because energy does get caught in energy fields. And even the word emotions is kind of like energy in motion, and it can um, go through you or in you or stay with you. Or, there's a lot of people that have physical symptoms from emotional problems.
Mhm.
And so this is where this sort of energy work can really help. So to give you an example, is I use my husband as a guinea pig. That's what they're for, right? So
Yeah.
you do, yeah, that's what, yeah, they sign up for that. So when I was doing angel healing on him, in the very beginning, the room was somewhat dim, and he didn't know what I was doing. I didn't tell him what was going on. I just said, "Lay there, keep your eyes shut, let me do my thing." And at some point he went, "Did you turn the light on?" And I'm like, "Nope." But what I did do was I placed healing energy light at 5 points around him. But he said when I placed it near his head, he saw a light turn on when his eyes were shut. So I made him open his eyes and say, "Look, I'm nowhere near the light. This is," and it sort of blew his mind, because I think, like, everyone knows Reiki is amazing, and I know Courtney is awesome at it, and I know you're going to go into some amazing examples. But he had never had angel healing on him, and it was kind of a bit new. And so for him to have that, he was like, "Whoa!" And it blew me away, because I'm like, "Wow, he can actually see these energy points that I put around him to clear it out." So it's yeah, what else do you want me to say about it? When I talk in bullet points. So it's like, this is what happened, and this is how we heal. But we'll go into examples later on, after I let Courtney explain Reiki. But I like working with the angels. I like having their energy come in to my healing area, because you can feel them come in. You can feel the energy when you call them in from north, south, east, and west, and you can feel the protection around you. You
Mhm.
can call on protection around your property. It doesn't even have to be on a person or animal. It could be a situation. It could be a property. It could be a workplace. It can be anything. I've actually done healing on my property when we moved here, because I just wanted to clear out any stagnant energy, anything that was here, and just make it fresh and, ours. This is, our property. So you can do Reiki as well on properties as well. And you can send energy into what we would call the future, because in time and space, there is no past, present, or future. It's all in one. So for us sending angel healing or Reiki into a situation that we know is coming up, it's kind of still the now. So it's kind of really interesting when you get into the finer details of it all. And then if you do things like that, you can actually feel more confident walking into the situation, because you're like, well, I know there's actually this healing here for me now. I know that things have been set up for me.
Yeah.
And I've done that quite a few times. And yeah, it's really interesting. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll throw it back to you, Courtney, to go on about Reiki, because I actually think you explain things hell of a lot better than I explain things. You just have that grace about you. So I'll let you talk about Reiki, and I will mute myself so I don't interrupt.
I have a question about angel healing. This is something that at some point in my life I would actually like to, to learn how to do and all that. It just obviously we can't learn everything at once in our life. Everything has to come in stages. So, can you explain, for my benefit and for everyone else, anyone else who maybe would want to learn how to do it? Like, what did you have to do? Like, how many classes you have to take? Like, what was the process to learn how to do this?
Okay, so there are pretty much 4 stages to get to teacher where I am. So you learn through an academy of how to do basic angel healing. And there's so much reading, and you learn all the stages, all the angels, and you learn about a grid around the property, which different people actually talk about this grid around the property. Earth property. So even Betty Eadie, who had a near-death experience in 1973, I believe, when she came back, she refers to a grid around the Earth, and it's something I learned in angel healing. And I remember waking up one morning and actually seeing the grid, and I had to do the what a few times. So as you learn, you find you're getting these experiences. So you learn basic angel healing, and then that takes it does take a fair while, like, because you want to learn it and you want to practice it, and then you
Mhm.
move on to the advanced. And obviously it's just the advanced, so you go over everything that you learnt. You go over where angels live, how they communicate with us, what an archangel is, what a seraphim is, all these sorts of angels, what a cherub is, all these sorts of different variations and what they do. And then from that point on, you go on to learning how to teach the basic angel healing. And that it takes a few months to get from there to teacher, but you don't want to just get to teacher and all at once. Like, you want to practice it, you want to do the you want to know what that what you're doing, sort of thing.
Right.
So there's four stages. So there's basic, advanced, and then you're learning how to teach basic, and then you're learning how to teach advanced, and then you can teach people how to do it. So I'm all the way up to teacher level. So I could actually teach you if you want. You can be my guinea pig. I'll teach you. And I have books, and the material is so thick, but it's something that you don't want to skim over. You really do want to learn. And there's only going to be this is what I feel, it's only my personal belief. I feel that you remember what is relevant to you at the time, and then if you go back over the material later on, then you'll pick up more information. So it's a continual learning, and the more that you do, the easier that it becomes for you. And then you just get in it must be the same for Reiki. As you're learning it, you go one, level two, and you have to do um, you know you you have to be able to feel comfortable. So it does take some time, but it is worth
Mhm.
it. And you can do it through an academy. The academy that I learnt through was, I think it's the Academy of Magic, and they actually have teachers listed on their website. So I'm listed on their website as a teacher. So I know, woohoo! I'm so excited. But yeah, it's an amazing thing. And if you love angels, if you just have that, if you're drawn to angels, then
Mhm.
definitely this is the modality for you. Um, I hope that answers that question. My answers are very long-winded.
It's okay. It's okay. No, it's all good information. Definitely. Yeah,
Oh,
I
good.
mean, at some point I do wanna learn.
Hmm.
I don't have time. You know how life is. Now's not the time
Oh,
because I have time. But it's on my bucket list. I think it's very, very interesting.
hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can do it anytime, especially you
Yeah.
and I. We've after our 5-year plan, we've got time.
Um, okay, so we'll shift
Hmm.
gears and I'll talk about some Reiki. So a hot question that a lot of people ask me is, what the heck is Reiki? So as I said in at least one other video, maybe a couple other videos that we've done, that everything is energy. We are, our animals are, it's everything. Like objects, this table, it's in the air, it's everywhere. And that's a scientific fact. And I gave the analogy before of how I like interpret it is, I think of a jellyfish, okay? The body of the jellyfish is the universal consciousness, okay? And energy is all tied together. So every piece of energy, I don't know if I'm saying that exactly correctly, sorry for all the scientists I'm out there offending, but every particle of energy is a tentacle. So I'm a tentacle, you're a tentacle, everyone, like everything is a tentacle of this jellyfish, and we're all attached to it, to the body of universal consciousness. So our energy should flow like a river. Okay, it should have a nice steady current and just keep going, right? But we, us animals and everything, we have things that happen to us, whether it's something physical, emotional, spiritual, because let's face it, life is life, right? Just stuff happens. And when stuff happens, we get dams in our river. Okay, we get blocks, as we call them. So the Reiki comes in and it actually removes those blocks, and it removes those dams in your river so that your current can start flowing correctly again. Reiki is something that is very gentle, very non-evasive. I always tell people, like they ask, well, what does it feel like to get a Reiki healing? It could feel like a lot of things, and it also depends on your practitioner. But I've had it done by several different people. I have felt pain and discomfort in an area where I already knew I had pain and discomfort. So like if I had problems with my knee, I would feel like a little bit of pain while they were doing it. It wasn't bad. Like I don't want to scare anyone away. It's like a 1 on the pain scale, 10 being like super painful. It was like a 1. It's just the fact that I knew it was there. But I felt it. I've had other, people who gave it to me where I just felt like tingling, like a pins and needles kind of feeling. Or I felt warmness. I felt very calm. I felt like I wanted to go to sleep. Sometimes I didn't feel anything. You know what? But it doesn't mean that it's not working. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not working, because it is doing something. So those are like some of the more common what's it gonna feel like things, just to be, to know that. Reiki's great for helping putting you, like I think that when I give Reiki myself, I put people to sleep and animals to sleep. I think that's a reflection of just who I am. Not to say that I'm boring, but I think just because I have a very calm demeanor about me, I'm very calm, collected, like very soothing. So that's how my Reiki comes off. So if you have sleeping problems, I'm your girl. I'll put you to sleep. So a lot of people don't realize that you can actually give Reiki over a distance. And what I'm going to explain very briefly is for other things. It's not just for Reiki, but there is a frequency that was discovered in 1952 by a mathematician. This is for you people who are skeptics out there and always want a scientific explanation of how things work. In 1952, a mathematician discovered this frequency in the Earth's electromagnetic field that is generated by lightning strikes. Now, I read online that there are 2,000 lightning strikes happening like at the same time, all the time on the Earth somewhere. 2,000, like all the time. That's a lot of lightning. That's a lot of energy that's being created. And this electromagnetic field, the frequency is called the Schumann resonances. Okay, so I'm definitely obviously not a scientist, so I'm not going to really try to go into explaining all the nuts and bolts behind this, because it does have things to do with our brain waves, how our brain waves can actually like I in my mind I say like they ride the wave, like they ride the Schumann resonance wave, but they're able to connect to this frequency, and that is how, just for example, how Reiki can be done distantly. So there really is a scientific reason of how this is happening. Our brains, our energy is able to connect to this certain frequency, and that frequency is what will get it to the person or the animal that we're intending to. So it's really cool. But like I said, that's like this much of an explanation of it. You're very interested in it, please just look it up online. There's way better explanations than this 30 seconds that I talked about it. But so yeah, that's Reiki in a nutshell. There are different, like how you said, there's different levels of angel healing, and you went through all of them, and you're at a teacher level. Same thing with Reiki. There's 1, 2. Well, depending on what kind of Reiki you do, a lot of them are just 1, 2, and 3. Some of them are 1, 2, 3, and 4. You are at the top, right? Are you a Reiki teacher, a Reiki
Reiki
master?
master.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
You're level 3. What kind of Reiki do you do?
So Yusui, so I think we do the same from Dr. Yusui, and although even though we do know the same, we were taught quite differently because you were very heavily based on symbols, and my teacher didn't base. She was like, you can use them or you can't use them. Um, so
Yeah,
I think it also depends on your teacher too. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
what you were saying too with the distance healing, it's quite interesting because I tend to do all my communications distance, my healings, unless there are my animals or my sanctuary, it's always distant. But to give you like an example of distant, I'm in Australia. I had a client who is in Switzerland. She is a healer herself, but she asked me to do healing on her dog. And there's time differences and there's all sorts of stuff. So I always try to do healing or communications when the animal, say if they're on the other side of the world, is asleep, because I just feel like you get a better connection because they're just more receptive. But when I sent healing, and this was angel healing to her dog, she was actually in the car, she was driving, and her dog, the demeanor just calmed down and stopped. And she thought, Nicole's doing healing on my dog. And I couldn't actually get to speak to her for a few days because she was going up the mountains. She's at the Swiss Alps. And we spoke about it. And she's like, when did you do the healing? So I explained when I did it. And she's like, I knew I could pinpoint the exact time you did the healing because her dog calmed down and his behavior was a lot calmer and changed. So there's a science base to it, but there's also, we know, because I know you've done distance Reiki, and you've got a really good story as well with distance Reiki and how it works and how you can actually see the difference, and how you picked up the difference too from animals. So I'll let you obviously explain yours.
Yeah. So I was the past probably 5 or 6 months, I was giving weekly distant Reiki to a dog who had terminal cancer. They unfortunately they tried everything with this dog, but it just wasn't meant to be. And even though the Reiki wasn't giving him a miraculous recovery, it still was making him feel better. It still felt because when I do Reiki, I also talk to them as well. I'm not just going to send them feeling like I chat with them. I check in with them. How you feeling today? So he absolutely loved it every week when I connected with him. So I could tell the past like few weeks before he passed, like he was obviously going downhill. And so it was my time to give him Reiki, and I connected, and I was just getting like weird stuff and I had not talked to the owner like ahead of time, so I didn't know like everything was changing every day with this poor dog because it was getting to the end, and I didn't know what was going on. And so when I connected with him, he felt like he was alone, but he was okay with it, and it was just he kept on giving me this sense of peace, this sense of calming, like, Courtney, it's okay, like I'm alone, I'm not with my mom, but I'm okay. And I'm just like, I just didn't know what really to think about it. And then I found out later that was the time they were putting him down. I don't know if it was the same exact time, but it was that general time, and I didn't know, and I was giving him Reiki while he was. So I thought that was like, I mean, I felt very, very bad, obviously, for his mom, because she's just devastated. But it was just such a nice thing that I unexpectedly did, and I connected with him like the next day, like when she confirmed everything that happened, because there was other stuff that I got that it was just weird. And I mean, but then when I found out, I was like, oh, that's why I got that. Like I'm putting the pieces together. And I mean, obviously he's good. We had a nice long reading with him, with her mom, over the phone, and everything was good. But it was just a really, really cool experience. I just happened to do it at that time. And but you and I have both said that we don't believe in coincidences. Like, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think also too, we need to point out that we're not medical professionals, we're not vets. if people are doing energy healing, still seek, if you have a problem, still seek professional help. But I think in cases like with that dog being put down, I feel that, having Reiki at that time or around that time would have calmed them down to accept that, because the
Mm-hmm.
dog would have known it was sick and would have known when its time was up, and would have known the conversations, what was going on with the mum about, okay, I'm going to put it down. But I feel when, like, yeah, there's no coincidence. You would have connected at the right time to keep the animal calm, to help to the next
Mm-hmm.
phase. And it's just, yeah, it's all connected, isn't it? There's just
Okay.
no coincidence. And um, sometimes we have quite dramatic instant results, and then other times you feel like there's no results, but things are actually working in the background.
Yeah.
And then we have results where, the pet passes, and sometimes the death is the healing as well. Like at the end, we're all going to die. No one gets out of this world alive, animals or humans. So at some point, we're going to die. So at some point, that soul's path and plan is for them to pass then, and so the healing helps them go to the next phase, is, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, I actually think there's a really good story with you. I think it was Janet, last time after we were off air, was speaking about a horse that made themselves known to you about what it wanted, Reiki, wanted healing, and they were going to put the horse down.
Ooh.
um, do you want to explain that one? Because that's an amazing story. I love that story, and I think you should tell that so the audience can see the
Okay.
difference it can make in an animal's life.
Okay. So if anyone watched our last episode, we had a special guest, Janet Winter. She's a equestrian confidence riding coach. She lives in my area, and it was the fall of 2019. I went to her boarding stable because she also does videos for her business as well, and I was her special guest. So I went, we did our video, of course, talked about animal communication. And when the video was done, and we were just kind of hanging out in the barn, and there's tons of horses in the stalls. It was evening at that point, so everyone was in the barn. And this one horse, it started to do the licking and the chewing and the yawning, and all of this is positive releases that horses do whenever they get any kind of body work done, whether it's massage, acupressure, acupuncture, like Reiki, like whatever. The yawning, the licking and chewing, the blinking, the sneezing, the snorting, like all of that are positive releases. So I wasn't even like talking to this horse. She just happened just to be in her stall, and we were in the barn aisle, and she starts doing that. And I just kind of like laughed to myself, because even though I wasn't actually giving her Reiki like directly, the Reiki just comes off of our bodies. Like once you're Reiki attuned, we can't turn it off. It's always around us. And so some of the horses will suck it up. So the people, Janet and the other people I was with, they're like, "What's that horse doing?" And I laughed and I explained. And I was like, I'm gonna go in and give her some Reiki. Like, clearly she wants it, and it was just for fun. So I was giving her Reiki, and she was just sucking it up, right? And I didn't really get a whole lot off of her, because I did talk to her, and I didn't really get a whole lot off of her about like her health, her pain, her sickness. I mean, she either I missed it or she just didn't say it, but I wasn't getting any red flags. I just thought, oh, this horse is like Reiki. So Janet calls me, I think it was like 2 weeks after. She's like, "Courtney, I have to tell you about this horse." And the horse's name is Brisk. And she had, I don't know exactly what it was. She had something wrong with her hoof or her leg or something. The vets didn't even know what was wrong with her. She was seen by several vets. I hope I'm remembering the story. Sorry, Janet, if I'm not remembering it correctly, but I thought that they were going to take her to like an equine hospital, where they did take her to the equine hospital, and they couldn't figure it out. Like nobody could figure out why this horse was like dead lame in her leg. They were going to put that horse down like 2 days after I was there. Like they already had the appointment scheduled. So I was there, I think it was a Tuesday, and her appointment was scheduled Thursday. So they decided to let her out on Wednesday. Now, this horse had not been out in the pasture for, I think, months, Janet said, just because she couldn't walk. And her owner felt terrible about it. She, very upset putting the horse down. And she's like, even though she's sore, she's lame, I'm going to turn her out. This is her last day of being alive. I'm turning her out in the pasture. So this horse, I guess, took off like a bat out of hell across this pasture. And, and at first everyone was like, whoa. And they're like, well, I mean, obviously she's been in the stall for months, so she has all that energy. They were expecting her to, when she came back, like ran back to them, they were expecting her to be dead lame on her leg because, she has this problem. And she wasn't. And they were like, oh, that's weird. Okay. And they watched her and she still wasn't. And they were like, okay, let's call off the appointment because we don't know what's going on here, but she's not lame. So they canceled the appointment, but they were still very skeptic. They were just expecting her to become lame again. And she didn't. And then it got to the point where, she was being turned out every day. And then they eventually started riding her. And nobody can figure out, like, number one, what the heck was wrong with this horse? But number two, how this horse made this miraculous recovery. And like I said, that was the fall of 2019. That horse is still alive today. They're riding her. She's just 100% sound, totally normal. And other than me giving her Reiki, no one can figure out how this horse lived. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. Like I love that story. So I just wanted to make sure you told it. But it's interesting to me because sometimes modern medicine and science can't fix a problem, but then energy healing can. And I remember when Janet said that horse is still alive, I'm like, oh, that is amazing. Like this is what we do this for these animals. And I have a story sort of similar where, it was kind of like, this sheep isn't going to heal, kind of like the vets are like, it's time, although you don't put a bullet in the head, but and to the point where he's just like, I can't treat her. I'm not treating her. I just refuse to treat her. And so I did my healing and all that sort of stuff. And it did take a while. It's not a one-stop shop, not like the miraculous healing you had with Brisk, was it? I think, yeah. So Annie took a little bit longer, and now she's completely healed. You can't even see this injury that she had on her side of her leg. The fur's grown over, and the vet had stopped treatment and recommended putting this poor sheep down. And now you can't even tell if she's in the flock which one she is. So it's wonderful. This energy healing is wonderful, and it really works for humans, for animals, for places, for properties. And just imagine if everyone could get on board and how much we could change the world and the environment and just have calmer and peaceful lives. So, that's, I love it. Anyway, I mean, I guess we should sort of keep it because we try to keep this at housework time. Half an hour to, do your vacuuming and mopping or whatever you need to do. Hopefully listen, because I don't particularly like seeing videos of myself. So feel free to just listen and not put the video on. But yeah, so we have our contact details down below if anyone wants to contact us for communication, healing, whatever. We're always happy to chat. And that's, I guess, my sign off from me. Courtney, I'll hand it over to you for your sign off. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. I hope that you at least consider this as an option. Like I said, either for yourself, a family member, a pet. There's a ton of healings out there. Just research, see what resonates with you. What one might not work so wonderful, but the other one might. So it's just a lot of trial and error. But it's an amazing thing. I would never say to stop going to the doctor because we have a physical body. Okay, so we would never ever tell you, oh, you broke your leg, you don't need to go to the doctor. I'll just give you Reiki. No, that's not how that works. You guys still have to go to the doctor. But it's definitely a great complementary a therapy, I guess you would call it, healing. So we just want everyone to keep an open mind and give it a try, because who knows, you might be like the next success story. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be back on next month. And we don't know what we're talking about yet, so if anyone has any suggestions, please let us know. We're happy to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye from us.